you have stumbled right on in to Kari's Corner yet again. Welcome. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone's happy and healthy and studying for their ESL exam. Whatever exam that may be, I hope that's what's going on for you. As always, in the comments, please tell me who you are. Are you an RN? Are you a nurse aide? From Pakistan? I am starting to see, and our moderator, Tracy, I'm starting to see an influx of people from Pakistan, which is absolutely awesome. We're so happy to have you here. Happy to just be here and have this platform. So just so you guys who have stumbled on in, you probably already know, but this program and this platform is brought to you by your friends at Worldwide HealthStaff Solutions. This is an English preparation program, but we cover all sorts of different things in Kari's Corner. I like to do fun facts. I like to just kind of relax and have a good time and start your day or end your day with just some fun English exam tips. So always a good time in Kari's Corner. Another friend from Pakistan. Hello to everyone. Guyana. I'm not quite sure 100% how to say. I'm from the South. So for those of you who don't know, and in the southern part of the United States, we tend to mispronounce words sometimes. And I'm really excited. Tanzania. Love Tanzania. I think I said this last time. One of my favorite, he was an adjunct professor, is from Tanzania, and he was just the coolest guy. He was so cool. Kenya. I want to go to Kenya. I would love to go to Kenya. For those of you who don't know, you guys can't see this because you're obviously can't see everything, but this is always kind of crazy to people. If you ever have met someone online and you go to finally meet them in person, the first thing people always say about me, and one of my best friends said this about me, looked at me and said, "Wow, you're tall." Yeah, I'm almost 6 feet tall, which is pretty tall for an American woman, not just an American woman, but kind of all over the world. So that's usually what a lot of people say when they see me. So my favorite animal is the giraffe, talking about Kenya. So if you see any pictures of giraffes in Kenya, please email them to me. That would just make my day. I think giraffes are the most fascinating animals. Watching them like fight with their necks. It's so cool. I am an animal person. I'm an animal lover. So in your country, if you have a really cool animal that lives in your country, I know you guys are nurses and you're busy taking care of people, but I would love to see some fun animal pictures that you guys have, just things that we don't have here in the US. Obviously, I have to go to a zoo to see a lot of them, so any really fun, cool animal pictures. I don't care if it's a snake or a lizard or whatever it is. So fun fact about me this morning. I love animals. Cameroon. Oh, and is it Juvet? I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but that is so cool. Cameroon. That's awesome. So today, what we're going to have on the show today is a guest. Hopefully she is able to log in. She is a mom, and because we're in the US and we have different time zones, Kari's Corner happens to be when she drops her kid off at school, or children off at school. So hopefully she's going to be able to join, but her name is Meredith and she is from the Pearson PTE. And there has been a lot of things going on surrounding the PTE lately. We have had some of our competitors, for lack of better terminology there, but we've had some of our competitors who are also direct hire and recruiting companies or businesses that have posted some information about what states accept the PTE. And I just kind of want to, that's the first thing I want to demystify for you guys today, is exactly what states do accept the PTE. And for those of you who are unaware, we do have, there's two different paths for licensure, unless you're going to New Jersey and they just have one. You have licensure by examination, which means you have not taken your NCLEX yet if you're an RN in the US. And then Tanzania, there's so many animals. Oh, I would love to go. Oh my gosh. Oh, I would love to go. Send me all the animal pictures. I just saw that comment. And I also see the comment, dear ma'am, kindly give me an update about the Labor Department. My case is pending till 2022. Oh, I know your question is important to you. I am acknowledging you. I'm acknowledging your question. I am so sorry that I have no connections with the Labor Department. That is going to be your case manager. Your case manager is the only person that can reach out and update you. And there's nothing that we on our side at Worldwide can do when that paperwork is in the hands of the Labor Department. Once we hand that paperwork over, it is in the hands of the U.S. government, my friends. And I am so sorry that we can't do anything to push it forward or make it go faster for you. Just stay in touch with your case manager. All of our case managers are absolutely phenomenal. They're excellent. But please stay in touch with your case manager. Your case manager will update you when those changes happen. I know it can be a tough and long process, but just have patience. We'll pray. I used to say, pack your patience, because there's really nothing else we can do. I'm so sorry, but please know that I am acknowledging you. We at Worldwide are acknowledging you, and you are most definitely heard. And we definitely want you to come to the US. So we are not slowing down the process for you at all. We want you here. We definitely need help in our healthcare industry. So we want you here. So hang in there. Good morning from Colombia. Hello in Colombia. We are so happy to have you. So I was talking about the PTE and about some of those announcements that were made. So while we're waiting on our PTE friend to join us, I'm going to kind of go over the states that accept the Pearson PTE exam by licensure by examination, which, remember, I said that's you don't have your license yet here in the US, and then licensure by endorsement. And that's for our friends who already have passed their NCLEX. This is for if you've taken the NCLEX in English and passed it in English. There's a lot of people don't realize, you think you could just go out and pick an English test to take, but there are a lot of things and variables that go into taking an English exam and which English exam you can take. So yours truly, on your behalf, called every single board of nursing in the good old US of A. So I have called all of the boards of nursing. I have verified all of this information. So this is the most up-to-date information. Now, our PTE person may have some different information, but we at Worldwide go by this information because our information comes directly from these individual boards of nursing. And I either have verified these via speaking on the phone with these boards of nursing, or I have a verification email from them as to what exams they accept. So since we're talking about the PTE today, on the screen, you see state bonds, which bond means board of nursing. Hello in Saudi Arabia. We're so happy to have you. So state boards of nursing that accept the PTE. And remember, this is licensure by endorsement. Licensure by endorsement. Now, what I want to say is a lot of states, you may hear from our licensure team. That's Rhoda and her amazing team. She's so fantastic. She's located in the Philippines. So if I have any Philippines fans out there watching, welcome. But a lot of times our licensure team will say that for endorsement, the state does not require an English proficiency exam. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have to take an exam then. That's great. No. No. So what happens there in that situation is we defer to the visa screen. And in order to, I look beautiful. Thank you so much. You are so kind. You just made my day. But a lot of people, or we defer to the visa screen. And in order to get a visa screen, you have to have one of two things, right? You either have to take a visa screen accepted exam, which that is a long list. And I'll go ahead and tell you the PTE is on there for your visa screen, or you have to provide proof and documentation of your education being done and completed in English. And CGFS has to verify your transcripts. that you were indeed not only educated in English, but your textbooks have to be in English. There's a lot that goes into verifying that on our end and on CGFNS's end. I'm really, really excited. Spoiler alert. JT Taylor, such a wonderful person. He helps us. Oh, thank you. So that's awesome. That is awesome. I love to hear that. Love shout outs to case managers. Please continue to do that. But this is what happens. You guys get me off task and I lose my train of thought. So we're talking about the visa screen, taking the PTE, and verifying your transcripts. Yes, verifying your transcripts. Some states only accept English education taught in certain countries. So it's not just that you were taught in English, it's that you were taught in English in the United Kingdom or in Barbados or in particular areas of Canada, because some areas of Canada are predominantly French speaking. So there's so much. There's so much. So I know you guys on your end are like, I've submitted my, I submitted the PTE and I'm going to, let's say, Alaska. Alaska doesn't take the PTE. You can get your visa screen, but we can't move you forward because Alaska doesn't take the PTE. Is the PTE still not accepted in Georgia? I just spoke to Georgia. Georgia is a TOEFL only for your licensure by examination, and Georgia is a TOEFL and IELTS only. I'm going to pull up my little cheat sheet just to 100% verify and give you the exact wording that I got from the state of Georgia. Yes, so Georgia requires a CES report from CGFNS, and I verified this on the phone with a member of the Georgia Board of Nursing on February 1st, and it's IELTS or TOEFL for endorsement. So that is the truth for Georgia. Thank you so much for asking. If any of you guys have questions, please feel free to ask. I have spent the past week on the phone with all of our amazing boards of nursing. So if you have any questions, what about Texas? Texas is on there. Texas takes the PTE. Texas takes the PTE for, I believe it's licensure by examination and endorsement. Yep. Texas, you are absolutely good. Good morning in Haiti. We are so happy to have you. Maryland is not included. Yes, I spoke to the Maryland Board of Nursing either yesterday or the day before. They're all starting to blur together. Yesterday, I spoke to the Maryland Board of Nursing. And yes, they are a TOEFL and IELTS only state. Yep, TOEFL and IELTS only. Is PTE accepted for Texas? Yes, PTE is accepted in Texas. The full, hang on, let me go. I'm getting all these questions. I love it. I love it. New York is not very picky on their English exams. So yeah, New York, you can take pretty close to anything. Double check with your case manager about that. Let me scroll up in the chat. I love this. I love that I'm able to answer these questions for you guys. All right. So the first one I see is the PTE accepted in Tennessee. Tennessee for licensure by endorsement. Absolutely. Yes, it is. I verified that with the lovely people in Tennessee. They go through, you use the CP verification letter through CGFNS. So I'm actually going to have a member of CGFNS on Kari's Corner very soon. So you'll get to talk to someone from CGFNS and ask them all your CGFNS related questions. I'm really, really excited. They're going to explain the difference between a CES report and a CP verification letter and a visa screen letter. And they're going to be absolutely fantastic. Really, really excited. All right. What about the OET? What state are you looking at? And someone asked, I'm going to ruin your name. I think it's Wakar. I'm going to butcher your name. I'm so sorry. But what about the OET? Let me know what state you're headed to, and I can check on the OET for you. Texas, already verified. Yep, the good old state of Texas. What is it? The Lone Star State. Lone Star State. In case you guys didn't know, every state has a nickname. That's right. South Carolina is the Palmetto State. North Carolina is the Tar Heel State, right? Tracy can back me up on that. What about Illinois? Let's double check Illinois. I have a whole big old list over here. Illinois for licensure by endorsement. Make sure you're hearing me right. Licensure by endorsement. Yes, absolutely. You are. Yep, I'm making sure it's on my list. Illinois is good for PTE licensure by endorsement. All right. I want to ask someone if the full transcripts for CGFS refer to a full syllabus, which has a lot of pages, or the transcripts and the resume. I cannot 100% verify that question. I'm not sure. But like I said, we're going to have CGFS on the show. So you'll be able to ask that question to a CGFS member. Let's see. Oh my goodness. I'm behind. Okay. What about good morning from Dublin? Oh my gracious. That's so cool. My husband wants to go to Dublin so bad. What about New Hampshire? Yeah, New Hampshire, verified with them on the phone yesterday, and it is an IELTS TOEFL. However, it just depends. New Hampshire's kind of funky. And I say that with all the love in my heart for New Hampshire. My mom's neighbor's from New Hampshire. We love New Hampshire. But it depends. New Hampshire defers to CGFS, and it depends on which route of documentation you choose. You can choose a CES report. You can use the certification report, but there's a lot of different things with New Hampshire. So I think it's Cecile. Cecile, please reach out to your case manager, and I bet your case manager will contact me to talk more in depth about New Hampshire. So New Hampshire they're special. I already answered New York. New York is good. They're happy to have you. Florida is a no. Yep, I talked to them the day before yesterday. They were day before yesterday. Florida takes the TOEFL, the MET, the IELTS, and the OET. Florida does not take the PTE. Yep, but they do take the OET. It's a little more expensive to take, but it is a healthcare-based test. Is the OET accepted in New Hampshire? I'm going to defer to refer to your case managers, just because New Hampshire is one of those really fun, tricky little states. How about South Carolina? Absolutely, that's where I am. Yay! Come to South Carolina. We would love to have you. And yes, we take the PTE. Please come to South Carolina. That's so excited. Tell me, is it Yesenia? Could be wrong. I told you guys I butcher some names. Yesenia. Tell me where you're coming in South Carolina. That's so exciting. So many great places. South Carolina's got the beach and the mountains. We got it all. Hi, Kari, watching from Singapore. Oh, Singapore is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Love that. Welcome. Thank you for watching. Yes, North Carolina is the Tar Heel state, or the Old North state. I've never heard that. Thank you for that fun fact, to Tracy. It's the, I know, the occupational English test. I meant, what state would you be headed to? What state are you headed to? What about Maryland? We don't talk about Maryland. I'm just kidding. We don't talk about Bruno. Anybody out there in Canto have small kids? Maryland is only the TOEFL and the IELTS. I verified that yesterday with the Board of Nursing at Maryland. So they are only TOEFL and IELTS. Let's see. I asked my case manager, but she said only IELTS for Tennessee. I'm confused now. So here, this is what I'm going to tell you. Is it Beth? Beth. I'm going to tell you to, you can reach out to your case manager, and you can say, Kari Cooper, you spoke to Kari Cooper, you watched Kari's Corner, something like that, and ask them to loop. You can always ask your case manager to loop me into a conversation. That is totally fine. If it is English language related, you are welcome to loop me into those conversations, because I am here to support you, and I am really here to support our case managers, because our case managers are so amazing. So please, with our pace managers, gracious, with our case managers, it is in regards to the English language exam, this has been an absolute nightmare for them. And because boards of nursing are changing, and because sometimes, I will tell you this, sometimes people slip through the cracks. They just do. And certain exams are taken, and it happens. And I know that you guys talk to each other, and there's Facebook boards, and there's messaging boards, and all this information out there. What I want to remind you guys is, number one, please remember your case manager always has your best interest at heart, and they are trying to make sure that your journey and your path to the United States is a seamless path to the United States. They really, really are trying to do that. And if your case manager says the IELTS, that could be, there could be reasons for that. So my advice to you is always, always, always reach out to your case manager. Never, attack them. And please don't say, Kari told me, like, oh, no. Just, you can welcome to loop me in on the conversation, and I am happy to chime in and clarify anything. But our case managers have so many things that they deal with, and especially with the English language exam changing and fluctuating constantly. I just ask that you have patience with them, as well, as there's so many, there's only one you, and our case managers have a lot of other nurses, and every nurse is going to a different state, which has different laws and regulations. And so, we are all human. Please remember that we are all human, and sometimes we make mistakes or we misread something. I am guilty of it. 100% I'm guilty of it. So just have patience with your case manager. And like I said, if it's ever an ESL related question, you are welcome to loop me into the conversation or just email me, and then I can look you up and tag your case manager in on those conversations. So please, I'm here as a resource for you, and I'm a big fan. I'm always going to support our case management team. Great information. Yay, tremendous knowledge. Well, I'm just here having a good time with you guys. That's really what it is. Thank you so much for tuning in and letting me be myself on Thursday mornings and help people. Does the Virginia Board of Nursing require an English proficiency test or proof? So yes, Virginia is, let me scroll down to my list here. Oh, we got Virginia. Yes. So yes, Virginia for licensure by examination. Absolutely. But Virginia takes the PTE. They take pretty much all of the English exams for licensure by examination. And then endorsement, you do still have to have the visa screen for your endorsement over to Virginia. You have to go through the visa screen process. So like I said, the only way you can get out of taking an English exam at all is if you were educated in English and, your Board of Nursing signs off on your transcripts as acceptable, and CGFS signs off on your transcripts as acceptable. So that's the only way you can get out of taking an English exam. Let's see. I answered Virginia. Joining from Johannesburg. I read the most fantastic book about Johannesburg, South Africa. It's one of my favorite books. South Africa. My neighbor is from outside of Johannesburg in South Africa. I'm also a fan of, I don't know what her last name used to be, but I know my Filipinos out there, big pageant people. So she's married to Tim Tebow. She's Demi Tebow now, but she's from South Africa. I follow her on Instagram. She's absolutely beautiful. What about Maryland? I talked about Maryland already, I think, but I'm happy to talk about it again, just in case you missed it. TOEFL and IELTS only. TOEFL and IELTS only in Maryland. Yep, verified that yesterday. Watching from Australia. Are you kidding me? I'm so jealous. Australia is the #1 country I want to visit. At dinner time with my kids and my family, I always say, we talk about if you could go anywhere, where could you go? And right now, of course, if you're watching from Australia, Bluey, which you're probably familiar with, is huge here in the United States. And of course, my children love Bluey. Their parenting puts me to shame. I always watch the show and I'm like, wow, I'm a bad parent. I do not play with my children like Bandit and Chili do. But that's my kids' goal. They want to go to Australia. I am a big fan of the crocodile hunter and the Irwin family. So I want to go to the Australia Zoo, and stay in the new crocodile hunter lodge. That would just be great. So as you can tell, really excited that you're watching from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the show. What about North Carolina? North Carolina is on the list for endorsement, but it is not on the list for licensure by examination. Yep. North Carolina. That's right over the border. That's where our moderator is from. Or I don't know if that's where you're from, Tracy. Sorry, but that is where he is moderating from. You were elected for Ohio. Ohio does take the PTE for licensure by endorsement. Let me double check and they are actually a TOEFL only state for licensure by examination. Yep. Is the IELTS enough to promote as an RN in Georgia? Well, that is in IELTS. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure Georgia takes the IELTS for endorsement. Yes, Georgia takes the IELTS for endorsement. They take the TOEFL for licensure by examination, but Georgia, IELTS, yes, absolutely. Let's see. What's the requirements for Iowa? Your son will be practicing there. Aren't you a great parent asking for your son? I feel a sneeze coming on. Allergies are starting over here in the United States. So I apologize if I sneeze in the middle of this. Requirements for Iowa. I don't see them on that list. And I'm getting all mixed up in my alphabet over here. Iowa is an IELTS and TOEFL only state. I verified that on February 7th. So your son needs to be preparing to take the IELTS and the TOEFL, or the TOEFL, not both, IELTS or the TOEFL. And you are welcome to encourage him to sign up for my free class. Tell him to reach out to his case manager and say, I want to be in Kari Cooper's English class, where we have so much fun. I don't know how much fun we have. I know that studying is not always the most fun thing, but it is what it is. What about Davenport? I'm pretty sure, Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a city. So I'm going to need to know what state you are headed to. Because if I Google Davenport, I might get Davenport, Illinois, or Davenport, Indiana, or Davenport, Iowa. That's where we're going to. Thank you. I knew Tracy would know. Davenport, Iowa. Yep, Iowa is an IELTS and TOEFL only. IELTS and TOEFL only. Let's see. Watching from Nigeria. How amazing and beautiful. That is so awesome. I talked about Florida. Florida does not take the PTE. Definitely inform your case manager. Thank you so much, Beth. Always reach out to your case manager. Missouri. And a lot of people look at that. I can imagine if you are not from the United States and you're like, how do you even say this name? But it's like the S's are actually Z's. So Missouri, the college, people call it Mizzou. They drop the re on the end. So if you ever hear Mizzou, that's Missouri. IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC. That was verified by the phone, by me on the phone yesterday. So Missouri is IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC. So if you've taken the IELTS, you've taken the TOEFL, and you're like, the TOEIC is a less intense version of both. That's how I like to describe it. It's not, the TOEFL is very academic related. TOEIC is not as much. TOEIC is more general professional world. Yep, Florida, already talked about OET. How long is it valid if someone passes the PTE? Your exam scores are valid for 2 years. 2 years, that's how long your scores are valid. Looking at, how about Kentucky? Well, I grew up in Kentucky. Grew up next to a horse farm and grew up out in the middle of nowhere. Let's see. Kentucky takes pretty much all of them. Kentucky, you are good to go. And this is for licensure by examination and endorsement. You have the IELTS, the MET, the PTE, the TOEFL, and the TOEIC. So Kentucky is good. And if you're going to Kentucky, if you're going to the Lexington area, tell my little sister she needs to behave, and my big sister she needs to behave, because that's where my family lives. And go to Keeneland. If you're into horses, even if you're not into horses or horse racing, go to Keeneland and try the burgoo. I know that sounds really, really funny and really weird, but go to Keeneland. It's in Lexington, Kentucky. It's absolutely beautiful, and order the burgoo. It's this like really weird, interesting stew. It is absolutely fantastic. So check that out when you go to Kentucky. Let's see. Does anyone know how to change the single state license from Florida? I have it, but I don't know if I can renew with the PTE. Juliana, that is going to be an absolutely amazing question for one of our licensure specialists. Her name is Rhoda, but she is she can definitely answer any of those licensure-based questions. If you need to get in touch with her, simply reach out to your case manager, let her know your question, or him, whatever your case manager is. Let them know your question and reach out to them. Let them know. Let's see. What do we have next? Need to know about Wisconsin. Wisconsin's on there for the PTE for licensure by endorsement. And Wisconsin. And it's on there for licensure by examination as well. So, yes, absolutely. How about California? Whoo, Lord, Angeline, California stresses me out. We have a lot of conversations about California in the office. Shout out to California Board of Nursing if you're watching. But California does accept the PTE if you're applying for licensure by endorsement. They only require the visa screen, and the PTE is on the CGFS approved exams for a visa screen. So if you're applying for endorsement, absolutely. However, California, if you're applying for licensure by examination, that is TOEFL only. TOEFL only. All righty. Hopefully that answers your question about I think California calls themselves the Sunshine State too, but so does Florida. So don't get confused. I am originally from Florida, so Florida is the Sunshine State to me. Good evening from Pakistan. Hello. I'm going to appear my IELTS exam. Could you please tell me how to tackle the MCQS and reading the multiple choice MCQS and reading QS IELTS multiple choice questions. Let me see. All right, so I'll give you a couple of tips that just off the top of my head, looking at any type of multiple choice question. This is true not just for the IELTS. This is a great question. Number one is there are two really big differences and different ways to approach the reading section. Number one, you can read the whole thing first. Number two, you can read the questions first. That's the two big options that you have. I prefer to read the questions first because then I know what I'm looking for. Because then I don't necessarily have to read and try to catch every single important little detail. I'm going into it knowing what I'm looking for. So I always suggest read the questions first. And then I'm going to suggest that you skim the text and look for some of those keywords, identify the keywords in the text, and then think about meaning and try to like predict the correct answer. That's my advice. That's my advice on kind of a summary of how I would choose to tackle those things. Okay. Let's see. Add PTE and OET. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Thanks a lot for clarification of Kentucky. Absolutely. Always happy to do that. Thank you so much for your time. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so happy to hear. Do you expedite the process? It's going to be a question for your case manager. In the 2023 fiscal year, I don't know. I'm not quite sure where that question's coming from. What's the difference between licensure by examination and endorsement? License by examination means that you have not taken your NCLEX yet. Licensure by endorsement means you already have a state license. You've already taken and passed your NCLEX in a state. So that's the big one. Watching from Dubai. Yay! All right, so we have Meredith on standby. We are so happy to have her. She is from the PTE. Meredith, I have filled this time with all sorts of good knowledge, I hope. But I'm going to let Meredith in so that she can talk to you guys more about how to tackle the PTE. Hey, Meredith, welcome.
Hi, Kari. Thank you guys for having me. Sorry, I was delivering children to school, so I appreciate you filling in for PTE and giving some information. I'm not sure how much time I've got left, but happy to answer questions, or if you want me to do kind of just a quick why we think PTE is a great option for nurses.
Absolutely. Let me Let me go ahead and kind of share your presentation that you made, and we can jump into it. We can jump through this.
Great. So I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with PTE, but in case you're not, PTE is a computer-based language test. And what that means is from start to finish, from registration until your results, it's all computer-based. So you don't have to worry about sitting in front of a person if that makes you nervous or uncomfortable. This might be a great option for you. Every learner learns different, and every test taker tests different. And so if you've had a lot of anxiety with a person or a proctor in front of you, this might be a great choice for you. So it is an unbiased exam, and what that means is all of the accents that are out there in this amazing world are already built into our scoring system. So you're not going to be penalized for an accent. English, American English, British English, Australian English, all already mixed in. So it's definitely a representative test of global English.
That is absolutely awesome that you said, I remember speaking to you earlier, and it was like this artificial intelligence developed in like Colorado by people way smarter than me.
Yeah. So it was interesting in my work with schools. I actually came across one of the professors who was one of the people that helped develop this patented technology of automated scoring technology. And it's interesting to see, when we introduced this 10 years ago, we were by far the first of the language tests using AI technology. And it was definitely a shift. And now you can tell with all of the other tests that people have really understood and see the benefit in it. So yeah, I think the other interesting thing to note about PTE is that not only is it used now for nursing, but you can also use it for migration if you're looking to go to the UK or Australia. I know most of the people on this call are nurses looking to come to the US, and that is awesome. I know that there is definitely a lot of jobs here. So yeah, PTE, what makes us unique? It's a single 2-hour test. The test is not going to get broken up into 2 different days, perhaps, which even can happen with some of the other tests. You get your results within 2 days. Most of our, and when I say most of, I mean 98% of our results were delivered in less than a day last year. So you're not waiting for 2 weeks again to get your results back. So again, it takes out that whole waiting. You're not waiting 2 weeks to sit for your exam and then 2 weeks to get your results back and then 3 weeks for them to get to the state nursing board. You can sit for your test and get your results back and assign them within a week. So that really makes it accessible.
That is a huge benefit. I know all of our nurses are always very shocked when they're like, I just sat for this exam 2 hours ago and I already have my results. So
that's the thing.
It's really cool.
If there's not, there it is 2 hours. I've heard that. I think I got my results within 2 hours. And so I said the same thing. That's amazing. I don't have to wait. And you can book the test up to 24 hours in advance. We already talked about it being digital. We can scooch on to the next slide. So again, we kind of just touched on where we're recognized, but again, I think it's important to know that we are a global test. It's not just a test used specifically for this reason. So it's nice to know that it's not only been vetted by lots and lots of governments and universities, but it's also been, I think, endorsed by so many candidates globally. And so that to me is such a great, just sign of our tests. So yeah.
We do have one candidate that's in the chat, and they've said, if I can't type very fast, then the PTE is not for me. What is your response to people who may struggle with the typing portion and because I know the PTE, there is a window of time that you have to respond.
So yes, you do have a window, but typically it's for that section. So if one question trips you up, you might be able to catch up your time. You can always move forward on a question also when you're done. And so you don't have to wait for the time to be over. I think my suggestion would be, if you're nervous about typing, you should do 2 things. One, take a typing class, there are some things that you can do online that are free that can really help you get more familiar with your keyboard. And that will help you, I think, also feel more confident about your typing skills. But I would also say take the practice test, take a scored practice test and really get the experience of how the pace is. And again, every test is different. And so it might not be the right test for you if that really comes where, you're not making progress on the typing skills. And so it's just something to note that you do have to type your responses, but not all responses require a lengthy response either. And so that's also something to note. And I'll talk a little bit about test structure.
Yeah, there is. I remember, I don't know if you remember, it used to be a big deal when you applied for jobs. You had to write how many words per minute you could type. And so you could go online and take these free typing tests and, you'd sit there and try to get more and more. So those are totally free. I know exactly what Meredith's talking about. And it does improve your typing skills. It really, really does. So that's true for any digital test that you're taking where typing is involved, for sure. That's a great suggestion.
And you can skip right along because we've already talked about these states accepting PTE.
I did have one question. You have Florida on here. What do the asterisks mean?
The asterisks mean that they accept PTE online as well. So Florida, Louisiana, Arizona, Texas, they accept you could do PTE online. The difference is you cannot use PTE online for visa screen. No online tests for the visa screen portion. So ideally, we would want somebody to take the in-center test because they could use it not only for their visa screen, but any language requirements and not have to take multiple tests. But there are some candidates that are already here. They might say be married. They might already have citizenship, but they were foreign educated and they don't want to go into a test center, or they have random hours. So they can do PTE online at a different time than going into a test center during business time, because sometimes it's offered at midnight. Other times it's offered, so it's globally, and you can choose your slot. But yeah, I think it's important to really shout out that PTE online should not be used if you're looking to use it for visa screen or any of the CGFS kind of processing.
So this is I just want to highlight this. I'm not necessarily like putting you on blast or anything, but you have Florida on your list. And I called the Florida Board of Nursing yesterday, and they said they do not accept the Pearson PTE for examination or endorsement.
I will get on that and get with them because they've, according to our records, they started accepting PTE. So I will double check with them. And I noticed that you had some states on your list that I don't have on my list. And I will say it's confusing right now. CGFS works with a lot of the states, but they cannot provide information to us, to get in contact with certain people that we might need to. So it's kind of, for us, we're reaching out to a lot of different people trying to, we're fishing to find the right person to confirm, but I'll definitely look into Florida and get back with you on that, Kari. Thank you for pointing that out.
No, that's no problem. It's just, I was talking about it earlier before you were able to hop on. I was like, guys, look, in regards to the English language exam, you've just got to be patient. There are so many moving parts. Like, it's not just CGFS. If you talk to CGFS, they defer to the Board of Nursing. Sometimes I'll call a Board of Nursing and they'll say, no, we defer to CGFS. So they don't even want to touch it.
I called the Board of Nursing, and the Board of Nursing explained to me about English language tests, what they do. And I was like, I love it. Yes, I know.
It is exactly. Yeah.
So I say after this year, I think it will be a lot more clear. I think because of it coming out at the end of last year and this year being a lot of transition and adding, like you said, just be patient. It's not just CGFS. It's not just PTE or OET or the boards of nursing. Everybody's kind of got to get into the same Excel spreadsheet. And
I had said that so many times. I just wish across the board we just make it nationwide. This is what it is. But I mean, in order for an exam to be added or approved, like, there has to be legislation passed.
Yeah, on a lot of
that exam. for a lot of the states. So it's not just a matter of, oh, yeah, sure, we'll take that. It's like a law has to be rewritten.
Yeah, Illinois we presented to their state board and they added us, and they'll use us provisionally, but they said because it has to be through all this chains, it won't, it could even take up to a year or two to get it into our official bylaws, whatever they call them in each state. But yeah, every state is different, and some states have credentialing services working for them, others don't. So it is definitely patience. I'm more than happy to help and connect and double check anything I can at any time. So yeah, we're all trying to give the best information that we have, I think.
That is it. You hit the nail on the head. We are all just trying to do the best with what we have. It is absolutely crazy. All right, carry on.
So I just saw in the comments, somebody asked about Maryland. Maryland is reviewing. They've already told us that they're in the reviewing process and they have plans to add PTE. So hopefully, I'm not going to jinx us there, but that was what I was told. So I think that you're right that it is going to be in 2023.
Yeah, I called and spoke to the Maryland Board of Nursing on the phone yesterday. And as of right now, it's still TOEFL and IELTS.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey,
we're trying to give options, and trust me that I love hearing that you're calling too, and it'll help me we can compare notes after.
Absolutely. Yes.
So this is, again, just a nice little graphic about how PTE works. You would book online, or you can even call. If you don't see a test date open, you can call. There's a line that's given to you in your local thing and request that seats be open. We do that. We do monitor that. We look at our test centers every month, every week with different teams in every region and try to make sure that if there's demand that we're opening those seats. So that's also such a benefit to having everything being electronic. So you would book your test, access the preparation resources. I know that you guys go through a lot of preparation with Kari, and she's got some really great tips. And I think my biggest tip is I would really take all of the practice tests for all of the tests and see how you feel about each one. See how you do on each one, and let that kind of guide you. I will say I read a lot about templates. Templates don't work. They do help you sound more fluent. So you might score a little higher in speaking because you've been reading a template. You've been practicing English. You don't know that you're doing that when you're thinking you're using the template. But instead of using it as a template to kind of try to get a good score, use the templates to practice reading, to practice speaking. And I think that those kind of things will really help you. With the practice test, you're given on PTE, you're given a reflective score of what it would be if you took the PTE then. And we try to make it as reflective as possible. So I would say, again, take the practice test and look at the areas that you scored the lowest. We give a granular score. So it's not going to say fair or good. It will give you a 10 to 90 range. And so if you have speaking that's lower, then you need to work with either your case manager or Kari, somebody to help you get those speaking exercises in. I tell people a lot, I don't really know that doing the weekend test preparation workshops are the best spend of your time, because you're learning how to prep for a test. You're not learning better English. And that's really our goal, is to help people learn English. And so we want to kind of be a guide along that path. After you do the preparation, you'll take the test. Again, you could get your results in 2 hours. And as soon as you get them, you can assign them to CGFS or Kari or whoever you need to send them to. You have unlimited score reports for free with PTE. So that's the other nice thing. After 4, you don't have to continue paying. Really, once you've taken PTE, you're done with your payment. Everything is valid for 2 years. You can send it to as many businesses, boards of nursing as you want to. And then you celebrate your test success. So yeah.
I love that. I love that you have unlimited score reports. That's huge. Hopefully they only need, the one. But having unlimited, definitely a massive perk.
And I think a lot of times I've had friends that have said, well, I'm not sure if I want to work where I want to live yet. You know, I have family that lives in California and I have friends that live in Texas, and they'll kind of come and visit. And I had a friend that came and started working, and she was like, oh, California was not for me. I would like something a little more slow, you know. And so she was still able to, a year later, to a different board of nursing, send her score and not pay anything. And so it's really a nice kind of benefit.
That is awesome.
We talked about test timing. So here we go on the details. I hope everybody's ready for the nitty gritty. We don't time the pre-test, but you do start timing on part 1, speaking and writing. That portion is done together. It's not, you have 2 different scores for them. The scores are separate, but the section is done together. I think it's also to note that you're not getting only reading scores in your reading section. It's the content is reading, but most of our tasks within PTE are integrated, which is why, again, templates don't work, because they're going to ask you a question about what you see and repeat that back, not what you read on the template. So again, it's, I think, beneficial to try to really improve some of these individual skills versus trying to just get a higher score. And then next slide, Kari.
Yep. I was zoned in.
And we can do another session. I've got a lot more content as far as the types of questions asked and things like that. So, you know, in a month or 2, if you want, we can come back and really dig deeper into what each section entails, if people would like that too.
Absolutely.
This would be what your PTE score looks like. So when I took PTE for the first time, I was like, this is great. And then I took another test and I was like, what do you mean fair? What can how do I improve that? And I was so bothered, and it was not life-changing for me. It was research for my career. And so I immediately thought, gosh, for a candidate to look and see immediately what their score is in every section and where they fall and what a weakness is and what their strengths are was just, I thought it was kind of eye-opening for me.
Yeah, I do. These score reports are very, very simple to read. You can tell, you know, the average. I want to say a lot of these score reports for those people, you know, everyone who's coming to the United States, if you have children who are going to take an ACT or an SAT, these score reports are very similar to what those score reports kind of look like, with the bar graph, and here's the average and here's your average. So it is a very user-friendly score report. And I agree with you. Like, what is fair? It could be cloudy and raining outside, and some people would be like, no, the weather's fair.
Yeah, like it's
okay. Fair is, yeah. We can't even decide as a country what's fair. How can you decide if my English language is fair?
Yeah.
So I do wish that they would get rid of those very vague words. I do like the very granular score report. That is awesome.
We talked a little bit about preparation. There's a lot of free preparation also. YouTube, we have a huge YouTube channel, and they go through a lot of content, how to answer questions. I would definitely spend time, even if you're traveling, download it, listen to it that way. But those kind of tips from the official PTE channel will really help. There's some PTE prep classes that you can do. I would encourage you more, again, to look at how you improve your English versus how you prep for PTE in a class-wise. If you're going to spend money and work on a class, I think that improving your English is definitely the way to go. We have a free app, and it has the question bank already in it. It has a ton of free resources as well. There's an official PTE course book. If you go to our preparation page, there's also a course, like a free, I think it's 2 hours from an Australian school, and they've really dug into PTE prep. So I would guesstimate that there's close to 2 to 3 days worth of free practice material out there. Once you exhaust that free practice material, take a stab at the practice test. If you guys are in touch with Kari and you want to send her an email and reach out, she can let me know and I can send her some practice test vouchers for you guys for listening and joining this call today. Just let me know on that.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that's what I talked about last week. Last week's show was about, I kind of evaluated all of the prep material out there and I highlighted the PTE's app because I was like, the PTE's put out a great app. I mean, it really, really is a wonderful, wonderful app. But that was one of the number one things I encouraged was take practice tests, take timed practice tests. That way you're just at least comfortable with the testing format. And you're not going into it completely blind. But yes, I am a big proponent of impromptu speaking in English whenever you can. Because when you come to the US, that's it. Like you're speaking English. You are thrown into the masses.
Yeah. Try to watch TV, as terrible as some of our American TV is. The news is depressing. And so I wouldn't exactly say that's a great way to learn, but I know that I used to, when I was learning Spanish, a big thing I did was turn on TV. Being from Texas, it was really important to me, and growing up in El Paso, and it was easy. It was an easy thing to find on TV. So I think that that's just having it in the background is also something, because you're going to hear words that I think I know that word. And so it's kind of a constant, again, free practice. And it's hard to find people to practice with sometimes.
It definitely is. Definitely is. Let's see. Do we want to go over
this is the last slide. And this is why I just thought it was interesting why people have been choosing PTE and the fast results. And when we dug deeper into the fast results is where we discovered that there's a lot of anxiety around this. And it's not just about the speed of getting your documents processed, but it's the speed of knowing where you landed and what your score was. And so that was really the number one factor for people, was how quickly the entire process went and that they got the results so fast. And then you can see it's a pretty big chunk down, but unbiased results. As much as we would like to say that there's no human bias, it's hard. If somebody's having a bad day, you just never know what happened in their personal life, and they could try to separate. But, life is, as humans, we're just very complex beings. And so taking the human element out of the scoring process really appeals to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's different. When I'm preparing candidates to take the IELTS, I have to add on another level of preparation. And that is, I kind of have to go over body language and the importance of body language, because if you do the wrong gesture, if you are not smiling enough, like all of those things can impact your score. You could be speaking beautiful English, but it's monotone and you don't smile, you don't relax. They're not going to score you well because you didn't give off a good vibe, right?
And that's the other thing. The bands in IELTS are so large that one band could be up to 7 to 9 PTE points. So if you've missed your IELTS band, you could have really made it, but because that standard error of measurement is a lot larger on that band, the sun wasn't shining right that day. And the proctor that was having a terrible day, and your stomach hurt, all the things went wrong that we know can. And so you didn't smile, you were more nervous, and it could bump you down an entire band. And so that's just something to know, is that when people say, well, there's not a bias in it, you're like, well, I mean, kind of.
Yeah. All humans have bias, whether we want to or not. It's in there. So, one of our candidates asked, what is the PTE app? So if they go to an app store, what should they search to find that PTE app?
The official PTE app. It'll have official in it. Let me see if I can pull it up here and type
official PTE app. Someone asked the passing score for the PTE. So currently CGFS has stated the passing score for the PTE is a 55 overall. and nothing, no subsection can have below a 50. So that's the current, and boards of nursing have followed suit with that. There was an announcement by CGFS in December that they might be adjusting the PTE scores as to what they accept. But what was I going to say? So I'm going to have a member of CGFS on the show in a few weeks. So I plan on asking them if that's still the plan to change the PTE score acceptance numbers. And if so, when's that going to happen, and all that other kind of stuff. So,
and just to shed some light for people that might be wondering why they might do it, why would the scores change? It was really because PTE, you can, if you're setting scores against another test, it would be a big difference between IELTS and TOEFL. So we recommend most people set against TOEFL because it is more precise than the big bands in IELTS. So it's really to get everybody on the same page, I think is what CGFS is looking to do. But for visa screen purposes, it should stay at that 50 with the no passing that they've set. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm always anxious to see what CGFS has to say about it. Great people over at CGFS.
It'll be a good call, yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. Someone just asked about Michigan. Currently, what I have verified is Michigan is an IELTS, MET, OET, and TOEFL state. So they do accept their own language test, which they used to not to, which was really funny, the Michigan English test. But they do accept the Michigan English test now.
Well, the Michigan English test is actually an ETS test. It's by the same of TOEFL. Yeah.
I think that might be in the last slide. Yep. Head to pearsonpte.com to learn more. Absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. So I'm still seeing, I know that there's a lot of comments, a lot of questions about, where the PTE is accepted, what exams are accepted in what state. Always my advice to everyone is going to be, check with your case manager, email your case manager. That is the person who can answer those questions. If they're questions your case manager can't ask, know that your case manager is going to ask the people who know. So trust that process. It's a great phrase. Trust the process, right? Trust the process that your case manager knows. Meredith, thank you so much for coming on today and answering all of these questions and hopping on. I know that the mom life is real. It is a struggle. The morning drop-off line can be the most frustrating part of the day. So thank you for hopping on after that. Any other final words of advice or wisdom that you want to give to our nursing candidates out there?
I would just say you guys do amazing work, and thank you for wanting to be nurses in the U.S. And I wish you guys all the best. Feel free, again, Kari has my contact info. So if there's anything special, let me know. We really want to help you guys along your journey.
Absolutely. Well, all right. Thank you, Meredith. I'm going to let Meredith get back to what she was doing. So thank you so much for tuning in. And that's going to be it for Kari's Corner today. It was a great episode, a little longer than we usually go, but I thought it was great. Fantastic information. You guys got to ask a lot of questions today. Hopefully I was able to provide a lot of good information today. But thank you so much for tuning in and wandering into Kari's Corner. As a friendly reminder from Worldwide, don't face the corner, face the world with Worldwide. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you again next week. You all better be prepared for all of the Valentine's Day weekend coming up. All right. So lots of hearts and lots of love coming your way from Worldwide. Be safe, and thank you for